Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Lanark UC Podcast hosted by the Young Reporters Group. I'm Eilidh and I'm here with Leah and Beth. Say hi guys.
Hi!
So, we have a special guest today on the podcast. Please welcome Margaret McDonald, author of Glasgow Boys.
Hi!
Margaret is a Scottish author who lives in Glasgow. Her debut novel, Glasgow Boys, was published in May 2024, which has received many positive reviews. She is here in honour of Book Week Scotland 2024. Margaret, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you so much, Eilidh. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Tired.
Tired. So for this episode, we just want to get a chance to know you.
Good. Do you want to start?
Okay, so this question's just maybe a little based off the book, but if you could only write the book about one character, who would it be, Finlay or Banjo?
Ooh, I've not had that question before actually. That's a really interesting one. Honestly, because Banjo sort of bookmarks the book, so he starts the book and ends it, I would probably have to go with Banjo.
Mm-hmm.
I think because similarly Banjo has the most personal growth. I think when we meet Finlay, he's 18 and obviously he's at the beginning of his university career. But I do think that he's in like a good place to begin his life. And we only really get there with Banjo towards the end of the book. So Banjo has a lot of things, that he has to work through potentially, that as much as like Finlay has struggles with university, with balancing his work and his studies, he has struggles working for the NHS as well. Which is sort of inspired by my lived experience. I think that Banjo's story potentially would be like more character growth. It would be, potentially like more readable in a way, or like more pacey as well. Like Banjo is a very proactive character. Like he's somebody who is starting fights and going at people, starting conversations. I think Finlay is really inward and he is like sort of self-isolating, which means that if we followed Finlay throughout a lot of the book, we might get a little bit more frustrated with Finlay. And he's not really taking steps, like he, oftentimes it's people bringing him out of his shell, like people, making him come out and like do things, or have relationships and have experiences that he might not have like taken the first step towards. So I do think that like Banjo being the more proactive one would probably have to lead like the book himself. Or like if I had to pick, I think that Banjo would be the best leader. But I do think that it's funny because their lives, if I can get grammar right, their lives really bleed into one another and they inform each other and they sort of overlap in ways. And I think that like, when Banjo's thinking about Finlay, he's maybe like having like experiences like in school, or it's maybe just like something that's reminded him of Finlay. And similarly with Finlay, he's having all these new experiences and starting his university life and starting his like sort of working life as well. And he like Banjo's really at the forefront of his mind. So, in a way, like without each other, I think the book would work less. I think that it actually works a bit more, that we see how much they think about each other and how much their lives, maybe they connected for like a very short period, but that absolutely impacted like their whole entire life, and the ways in which they move forward from that. But a very interesting question. Thank you, Eilidh.
What does happiness mean to you, and how do you what
is it?
pursue it? Like pursue it.
Oh, yeah.
Pursue it. I said it right, so
Pursue, yeah, that's a tough one. I can never spell that word right. Honestly, I used to have to write English essays, and pursue would be like, I don't know. It's a really good like conjoining word, but I could never write it right. I'd always get the U and the E mixed up. So, but yeah, brilliant question. I think for me, like happiness is really in my relationships with my family, my friends, and my fiance, which might be a bit of a cheesy answer, but I'm not really someone who's like chasing, I don't know, like billions and fast cars and like those kind of experiences. I mean, like I've lived with my parents my whole life, like I've actually like never had that experience at uni where I went out and like lived in student halls or rented and things. And it's, I mean, similarly because I was disabled, or I am disabled, but I was severely like ill with my Crohn's disease. throughout my university. I had to take a sort of year out in my second year to have a bowel operation and things like that, and I think that's when you realise like the people closest to you are, like how important they are and how much they really support you and how necessary that is, as compared to, I mean, if had been in halls living on my own, I don't think that I would have been able, I think I would have either moved back home or I don't know what would have happened to me, genuinely. So I think my happiness is definitely my relationships, as much as that is a very cliche answer. I'm very sorry.
Well, this question is really random, but it was a running joke that people that we interview, I ask them.
Okay.
So do you think that a Jaffa cake is a cake or a biscuit?
Wow, the age-old question, honestly, Beth. I'm going to say cake. I'm sorry. It's got a sponge.
Yep, I agree too.
Gary.
I don't.
What do you think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's got cake in the name, so it must be a cake.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
But it's like in a biscuit size and it's in a biscuit shape, so I can understand the confusion. It's like, is a tomato a fruit or vegetable? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
I realised something when you were telling us about your Crohn's disease. Is she supposed to have like something that like connects to you?
Yeah. So Eilidh is a character that I added. I mean, Eilidh is obviously very different to me. Like, I would say I'm more Finlay than I am Eilidh. I'm more like a bit closed off and isolated and things. And Finlay's life was definitely inspired by my experience at university. But Eilidh has the bowel operation that I went through. So Eilidh has an ileostomy, which is basically they take a part of your bowel called the ileum and they make it a stoma bag. So what I had was a terminal ileum resection and right hemicolectomy, which is a little bit more bowel that they removed from me. And I had really bad complications with that operation. Initially, it wasn't meant to be a stoma bag, but I ended up having a stoma bag for 2 years because it wasn't meant to be like, they didn't create the stoma. The stoma itself closed, which just happened, they told me they could do another operation to close it, and I said I don't want to go under another operation again. It was going to be a bit intense. So I decided to just wait, and I just had the stoma, and I thought if I have to live with it, it's okay. And eventually it closed up, so it healed, and obviously I'm really glad that it did, and it also gave me that experience of living with a stoma and like how difficult it was and how it was such an eye-opening experience for me. And there's so many young people who have Crohn's who live with a stoma who they might have a little bit of shame or there's stigma attached, because obviously with a bowel disease specifically, like it can be a little bit embarrassing, like having to run to the toilet and having to have all these provisions in place for you, like when you go somewhere like that you don't know, maybe to the swimming pool and things like that, it can be a little bit embarrassing, which is why it's important for me that Eilidh have that experience and really own it, and she's just pretty much like, yeah, like this is the way that it was. And I think Eilidh in the novel is like 17. I had my bowel operation at 19 and was riddled with anxiety about, what would this be like? And I think that it would have been really good for me to have had that book at the time in my life when I was going through that experience, and to have someone just own it, and be really proud of it. And I think that's why obviously I wrote Eilidh's experience with Crohn's.
How do you define success in life?
Oh, before I got published, it really is like the holy grail. When you're trying to get published, you're trying to get a book, not just like a physical copy printed, but you're trying to get it like on shelves and Waterstones. It really does become like, wow, like the holy grail, as if like that is what success would be, and that would make your life. Do you know what I mean? And you just feel as though everything would be tied up neat in a bow if I got published, and like my entire life would be made and nothing would ever go wrong ever again. And that's not the case, obviously. Like that happens, and you hit that benchmark, you hit that goalpost of an aspiration that you'd wanted, but life goes on, like other things crop up, like you're still living the same life, you've just achieved something. And I think it's really important to know, as especially young writers or aspiring writers who want to get published, not to place so much emphasis on it. I think it was a bit of like cognitive dissonance, which means like an experience that you thought would feel like something, like the reality is different. And for me as well, like it was so different to what I'd ever expected. Like the process was actually really tough, editing the book with my publishing house. And I mean, obviously it's really natural, but receiving criticism on the book was really tough. At first, like now, if someone didn't like it, it doesn't matter to me. But, you know, when the first initial reviews started coming out, it was actually January, but this year, 2024 January, we started getting like readers reviewing it, and some people who didn't like it, I'd be in knots, because I don't know, you just feel like, oh, is this gonna flop? Like your publisher's taking a big risk on you specifically. So now I view success completely differently. Like I don't view it as being like tied to a job or a goal that I can achieve, because I just think like once you have achieved it, like life goes on, like you have to make new goals, and it's really important to have goals specifically, but it's really important not to like base your entire life on them. So I think success would look like having goals, at least working towards something, but that not meaning like everything to you, and like still having like a really balanced perspective on it.
But just to let you know, I really like the book. I've not finished it yet. I'm on like chapter 17.
Oh,
but I really like it.
Oh, same, truly. I think the way you portray the characters is really good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Eilidh. You guys are so sweet.
So I would like to ask, what skills are you proud of?
I actually don't have a lot of skills but writing. I'm not gonna lie. I think that I've worked quite a few jobs actually in my life. Like I started work when I was 15 at a butcher shop, and I was paid in cash in hand £5 an hour. And you know, all the way up to like working for the NHS and things. And I think that has been really character building for me, and has really allowed me to you know, come out of my shell, because I suffered social anxiety all throughout university. And I'm really proud, I guess, now of my ability to make connections and meet people and you know, talk and things like that. It's definitely a skill that you have to hone and learn. It's not something that comes naturally. I think that a lot of people who do public speaking would say the same thing, like you have to work at it, and sometimes it can look so effortless to some people, but you don't know like how much they've had to work on that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, yeah, definitely like having worked a lot of jobs, like my ability to adapt, my ability to take skills that I've learned from a job and like put them in another one, and also like my ability to reflect on those experiences, and similarly like with my Crohn's disease, as I was saying, like I was able to add that to the book, and that's not so much writing as like being able to represent like a community of people, which was Crohn's sufferers. We call ourselves cronies. So yeah, like that was really special to me, and everyone who has read the book who has Crohn's coming out in support. Everyone, I mean specifically like who's queer, working class, who's read the book, and you're representing like a community of people that aren't often championed. So it's really like been one of the proudest things of my life to be able to do that.
See, do you think writing was your dream job, or if it wasn't, what would your dream job have been?
Interesting. To be honest though, it definitely is. Writing is my absolute like joy in life. I think like writing really is something that I do for fun, you know, and it's something that gives me so much joy, as I said, and I think to be able to do that on a full-time basis for life, it really would be like a vocation, you know, like people who want to be a doctor or something because they really feel passionate about being a doctor. I think definitely being an author is my dream job because it's essentially the main thing that gives me joy in life. I mean, that sounds kind of bad because like I have a lot of people around me that are like I love, and like family, friends, and it's not to say that I actually don't like my day job, which is like I work in HR, I work from home sort of, and the team are all brilliant, and I'm really genuinely blessed like to have that job as well, and specifically as someone who's disabled, like working from home gives me a lot of like freedom to have bad days or like have symptoms and things and just be curled up, but still, you know, working and things. Working for the NHS was different. It's a very people facing role, you have to like be in the office and handling lots of like medical data and files, so you can't actually work from home in that role, and it was too tough for me, so I had to leave it. But in terms of writing, like that would be like my ideal role. But I have heard from actually full-time authors, or my friends who are authors who have gone full-time after they've published a book, and they do say like when writing becomes a job, like it shifts your mindset a little bit on writing itself as like a hobby or like something you would do for fun. Like for me, I write the way that people might watch a TV show or read a book. Like I literally do it for fun. Like I just love it so much. And I do think like it would change slightly. Like when I had to edit Glasgow Boys for the year before it published with my publishing house, that was tough, and that felt like a job on top of my actual job that I was working as well. So I don't know, like I think that my dream job is almost like what I've got right now, which is like a good balance between having a role that like allows me the freedom to write and the mental space to write, as well as like being able to treat writing as a hobby because I'm financially supported in another way.
Okay, just before the other group get to ask you any questions, are there any questions you have for us?
Ooh, I mean, I do ask everybody, like it's a dual POV book. Who was your favourite? I love that question.
Oh, so far for me, I definitely like Banjo.
Same.
Because I feel like, I don't know, he like grows a lot in the chapters that I'm reading. So I just really like it because you see him like adapt almost with his job and stuff. So I just really like Banjo.
I think also because he's a bit closer to our age,
Yeah.
that you can kind of like
Yeah, because he's in high school.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, you can relate.
Yeah.
That's super true. I hadn't thought about that actually.
Relate to him.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
The first few chapters I read was like Banjo, so
Amazing. Well, it's Banjo has a Banjo full house. Well, thank you guys. This is really fun.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret, for joining this group and answering our questions. Make sure you stick around for group 2. I've been your host, Eilidh, and I've been joined by Leah and Beth, and of course Margaret. Thank you for listening. Bye.
bye. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Lanark UC Podcast, hosted by the Young Reporters Group. It's group 2 here, and I'm Evie, and I'm joined here by Morven and Cara. Margaret is still with us today, so like Eilidh said previously, that for this episode we just want a chance to get to know Margaret a bit better and have a bit of fun. How long did it take you to write this book?
Ooh, good question, Evie. Took me, so from sort of blank page to finished completed book, it took me about 6 months. Which is actually on average like shorter than it takes a lot of authors, because I don't really write and edit at the same time, like I just write. But it took me about a year to edit it, and then to get a book deal, it took me 2 years. So overall, I mean, I would say overall the process was about 5 years from like the start of the idea. Because you might have an idea for a book, but you've not started writing it, you're just maybe like outlining it or planning it. So 6 months to write the book, but overall, a good few years to get it published. But thank you for your question.
Yeah. Right, so this is more of a thing to say than a question. I just say something. You really inspire me because I really like English. And I really like writing my own stories.
Amazing, yeah.
And we've been writing stories and all of that in English. And today, we were in history and we got told we could free read. So I got out my Glasgow Boys book and I started reading it. And we done that in English as well, and I started reading that as well.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Cara. That honestly means so much. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any pets?
Oh, so I used to have a dog. He was like a family pet though. He passed away when I was 17. But I'd had to actually Buster since I was 3. So, all my life had my dog Buster, but passed away when I was 17. And I think that I really want pets when I move out, but it would be really tough because my house is a little bit crowded. I've got my mum, dad, my sister, and me. And I also just like have no time and energy for a pet right now. But I'd really love a cat when I move out, because I think cats are quite like self-sufficient. I love dogs though. Like dogs have my heart, but also they require a lot of work. And, you know, like maintenance and things like that, whereas cats are a little bit more independent, so I think I could manage a cat. But great question, thank you.
What is, like, your hobbies?
Oh, so I know it's kind of cliche, but I do love reading. I love reading, like, anything and everything that I get my hands on, which actually, since publishing Glasgow Boys, my publishing house, like, send me books for free to review. Normally it's books published by them. I know, I mean, like, free stuff. I can't get over it. I'm still pinching myself. That, I mean, even since the book got published, but it's mainly just getting free books. I'm like, how's this real? So I do love reading. I love YA literature as well. But I don't know, like, running, I guess. I don't know if that sounds... Because I'm not, like, a massively professional runner. Like, I really do it because it helps with my Crohn's. And also actually helps with my asthma. So I've got pretty bad asthma, but exercise actually, you know, it seems contradictory, but it really does help it. So I, like, run a couple times a week, and I find that, you know, I just do it for fun. Like, I'm not really trying to run a marathon or, like, trying to get fit or doing anything like that. But that is genuinely it, guys. I am pretty boring. I'm so sorry to crush your, like, idolization of me, but it's really just writing, reading, and then a little bit of running. I like travel, but it's expensive, and like, everyone would love to say they were a traveller, but not everyone can do it. So yeah, watching movies, Netflix, Disney Plus. I'm sorry, guys. It's pretty boring on my side of things.
What's your idea of, like, a great weekend?
Oh, so yeah, guys, honestly, I'm gonna sound like so old to you, but it's really just like going a long walk with my fiance. I was telling Natasha that we drive out to the new Lanark Heritage Site. I don't know if you guys have been to it. I mean, maybe
We've been ice skating and all that.
It's stunning, like we've been up the, like, long walk, and gone out for some lunch, like maybe seeing a friend for some lunch and catching up. I mean, obviously, me and my friends, like, we all work different jobs, we all have different schedules, we don't often, like, get to all be together, so, like, normally it's just, like, a coffee, or we just grab lunch here and there. And then, yeah, I mean, just watching a little bit of TV in my house. Like, I used to, see, before the pandemic, I used to, like, go out at night. Like, I used to go out on a Friday night to the pub or the club, and I just can't hack it anymore. Something changed in my chemistry or biology after the pandemic hit, and I was just so done with it, guys. I just like a quiet night in, a quiet weekend in. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a brother and a sister. So my sister is 27 and my brother is 30. So there's a little bit of an age gap between me and my brother. But me and my sister are really, really close. And the book is dedicated to my sister Caitlin, because she was the one that really pushed me to get the book out there.
So if you had to, like, travel anywhere and had to stay there for, like, all your life, where would it be?
Wow. Wow. Do you know, I'd pick probably based on politics more than anything. I'd pick based on, like, what quality of life I would have politically. So maybe, like, Finland. Somewhere in the Netherlands, like, that's actually pretty socially good. Like, it has some great, like, policies. I don't think that I would pick America right now.
No, neither.
Or anywhere else, really. I think I've been to Japan, and I love Japan and the culture, but I couldn't live there because of the heat. The humidity is insane. Me and my fiance went this year, and you'd go out, like, you know, for a drink or something, and it'd be like 10 o'clock at night, and it would literally be like 30 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. It'd be insane. There wasn't even any sun. It would just be like walking around in an oven. I couldn't hack it, guys. I don't know how Japanese people do it, but I suppose that's obviously if you're born in Asia, you have, like, that constitution. Great question.
Right. So what would you say is, like, your favourite song?
Wow, that's so tough. Oh, guys, what am I even listening to right now? I have...
Like, any
no
bands
idea.
or anything?
Right, okay, I'm gonna get on my Spotify, guys. Honestly, my brain's like a sieve.
I feel like everyone has their go-to Spotify playlist.
Do you guys listen to Jensen McRae? She's like an indie artist.
I recognise her, but I've not really seen her.
Name.
She's brilliant.
I've not listened, but I recognise her.
Oh my goodness me. I'm just gonna go on repeat. I don't think you guys would know any. Oh, there's a really good like Scots Celtic instrumental band. They're called Rura, so Rura, and they are brilliant. And they've got a new album out, so I would definitely recommend them. They're one of my favourite bands.
This kind of like relates to the last one. Like, what kind of music do you like?
So in terms of genre, I really love like folk music. I'm really big on like Hosier and like I just Ben Howard, and like I love all folk tunes. And specifically like with obviously Celtic bands or Scots bands like Rura, there's Talisk, there's Runrig obviously, there's I can't remember, Manran. There's just a lot of like brilliant bands that sort of showcase Scottish traditional music that I love. So I'm a bit of a weird one in that way. Like, I don't massively listen to pop, but I do like pop, and like I find it like dancey. But if I was gonna like maybe listen to a playlist to write or like in my everyday life or to go a walk, it'd probably be like something instrumental or folksy.
Yeah. Do you know who Beluga Lagoon is? I think they're a Scottish band.
No, I don't know them. I need to get onto that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So since you're getting married soon,
Yeah.
what's like your dream wedding idea?
Oh, yeah, good question, Evie. So weddings are so expensive, guys. Honestly, can't recommend. I think that like if money was no option or like nothing like that, I'd love to like take my family away to like maybe the Scottish Highlands or like maybe Ireland and like get married on like the cliffs or something like that. And then just have like a sort of like a hotel like where we're like all staying that night, so you can like you kind of have the dance floor and you just like there's no sort of worry about getting home and stuff. 'Cause I've been to some weddings where like I've stayed over and it's been way better than going to a wedding when you have to get your way back home. So yeah, like free bar for everyone, a free buffet. That'd be my dream wedding.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you, Margaret, for joining us here on the episode of the Lanark UC Podcast hosted by the senior young reporters. It's been great having you. To grab a copy of Glasgow Boys, which is in bookstores, make sure you're following Margaret on her Instagram at Margaret McDonald Author. Also make sure you're following the Lanark UC Podcast on social media channels, including TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.